All right, let's talk about the Bills a little bit. Huge win last night for them. They've now won 11 of their last 12 games against the Dolphins. The offense looked fluid and efficient. James Cook had 3 total touchdowns as predicted by RC, including 2 on the ground, which already ties his career high for a season. And Josh Allen only needed to throw 19 times in the win. The Bills are now 16-2 when Josh Allen has fewer than 25 pass attempts. Marcus, what did you like about that Bills offense and what they were able to do last night?
Balance. Like, y'all, we've been doing this show for 5 years, and we have been asking for the Buffalo Bills to do what they've been doing. And we actually saw this start to take a hold when Joe Brady took over as the offensive coordinator. And people were scratching their head like, Josh Allen only threw 13 passes in this game. But the success of this team is built around making sure that they dictate offensively, and they are being able to do that. We talked about it before the game. The 3 techniques were under attack, D.O., MK, and RC, and that's what happened. Like, they were able to create all of the advantages that you need to, knowing that in their back pocket, if they need Josh Allen to go superhero, he can. I love the way they played offensively. They managed the game even when being able to turn the ball over 3 times.
The big thing is this. You could tell Joe Brady was raised right because he ain't a follower. You know what I'm saying? Like, he won't be peer pressured, right? He won't sit up there and let people say, oh, you got Josh Allen. You should be doing this and you should be doing that. He looked at the game. He said, hey, we're turning the football over. We're making it difficult for the Miami Dolphins to score. James Cook is cooking. If you look at the plays from the week before the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were able to run the ball. Why don't we do that? Let's not worry about the statistics or the people on the outside saying who's going to be our number 1 receiver when we don't have to force it to any of them. I love this game plan, but I love the consistency. I love the dedication to the run and the dedication to protecting your quarterback and finding a way to win. You don't have to show out for nobody. What you need to do is find ways to win the game and protect your quarterback, who you know at some point this year is going to have to go sicko mode. You want to limit that to a necessity and not use it as a luxury.
Yeah, he kind of even went sicko mode a little bit week 1. Yeah. So I'll call myself out here because I picked the Dolphins thinking that the Bills' defense was depleted and they're always hurt and how are they going to do this? And I was wrong. Listen, Dan, unlike you, I admit when I'm wrong. So what did you see on the Bills' defense, Dan, that stuck out to you last night?
Not much to admit. Yeah, I think last night was like a ode to the scouting department in Buffalo. I mean, there were guys on that defense that most of America had not heard of before, making plays against a dynamic and explosive offense. Balin Spector comes on into the game and all of a sudden becomes a linebacker that's making plays. Jones is making plays. Dorian Williams is making plays. And you're watching a defense that, I mean, Ruddy, to your point, we all had question marks going into the game because we didn't know a ton about him. Ingram's got 2 picks, 1 for a pick 6. So I think last night, while the offense was like impressive for Buffalo, I was equally as impressed by the depth of Buffalo's football team against a very explosive offense.
It feels like this happens every year. It's been happening 3 years where the Bills defense loses, not just players, important players, and it doesn't seem to matter. Dan, it's a credit to the scouting department, but also to Sean McDermott, man, because not only, are the young players ready to play, but their backups are ready to play. Something I noticed in this game, we talked about it yesterday, the Bills played too high coverage against Miami over 70% of the time.
Oh, Lord,
fine. It's one thing to say, hey, go out and play too high and put a roof on it. It's another to execute underneath, tackling, getting pressure with the 4-man rush. 2 players who really jumped out to me in this one, Christian Benford, their corner, tackling, baller. That's a name I think we're going to talk about more. And then the other one is Von Miller, because last year he was basically a non-factor, but early on, he looks a lot healthier and a lot more disruptive opposite Gregory Rousseau.
Hey, and you know what they said? Beyonce said it. If you hate it, then you better put a roof on it.
And if you hate it, then you better put a roof on it. And if you're mad, don't.
I'm going to use that one.
Every defense in football, every offense in football, every player in football gets punched in the mouth once in a while. And the important thing is you go to the film, you watch it, you tell the truth. You acknowledge the things that we did wrong. You celebrate the things we did well. And and you try to work through it. Players know they've made mistakes. They don't need another man in their face telling them that they screwed up. They already know. They want to know how to get it fixed.
All right, so let's figure out how to get it fixed, Swagoo. I mean, one thing is worth pointing out is Hassan Reddick doesn't seem anywhere closer to getting a deal done with the Jets, so maybe they're doing it without him. What improvements do you want to see on this Jets defense, Swagoo?
Boogie, that ain't have nothing to do with one man. As I watched that film, that didn't have nothing to do with one man. That had everything to do with, one, Kyle Shanahan and his brilliance and how he schemes things up. But the Jets were just distorted. Like they got into that game of going sideways as opposed to playing up the field. And that is when the San Francisco 49ers have you right where they want you. We saw Mason go off almost to the tune of 150 yards, 147. And a lot of it was technique breakdown. A lot of it was just not playing the plays and the blocks the right way. I like what Robert Saleh said. You don't need to panic. I don't think they need an extra guy. I think it's just getting back and retooling. We know this defense is good. They ran into a buzzsaw. And trust me, San Francisco going to do that to some more people this year as well. But when you think about the Jets and you think about that performance that they put on, I'm sure that's going to heighten their level of intensity. It's going to heighten their level of attention to detail, and they'll be better for it. But this was a technique and we got you right where we want you game when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers having that output offensively.
Even more remarkable, they did it without Christian McCaffrey. Mina, this week against the Titans, there's a matchup that you're really interested in watching out for.
Yeah, it's L'Jarius Sneed on Garrett Wilson. So the upside of the other side, pardon me, of the Caleb Williams discussion we had earlier is I think this Titans defense is maybe a little better than people thought coming into the season. And here's what we know about New York. They're running that thing through Garrett Wilson, right? He's going to get the vast majority of targets again, regardless of what they do. But what I want to see is, does Sneed press him the way he pressed DJ Moore week 1? The way he's frankly been pressing wide receivers, elite wide receivers for years now. Because if he's able to do that and disrupt the timing of that offense, if Aaron Rodgers can't get Wilson the ball quickly, I think he's going to be in trouble.
Let's make game picks here. Who are we taking? Let's see if they're going to pop them up on the screen and we all groan and moan together. Oh, no.
No, I don't know. I don't like this one.
I'm going to change. I'm changing mine to the Titans. I'm changing. All right? So
doesn't matter. The graphic is what it is.
The graphic's there. X out my pick. You know, I wanted to pick the Jets.
Boogie, hold on one second.
What?
Boogie, hold on. Let me try to keep you there, okay? I'm telling you, there is nothing worse than a pissed off defense. And I believe the Jets defense is still really, really good.
Changed.
Look, they done already changed the graphic. I'm telling you. That's why I picked the Jets. I didn't pick the Jets based on nothing else other than them being pissed off for what happened to them in San Francisco.
And I believe you, and I was with you, but purely to try and avoid our ridiculous curse that now I think we're believing in more than other people are. I made a change there. So,
well, guys, we have finally gotten tired of the imitators, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be the OC and the DC, are two teams that meet up this week, and it's a matchup and a rematch of a playoff game from last year, the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, so I want to look at Tampa Bay's defense. If I'm the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson offensively, and I'm going to go back to this past weekend and look at things that I think I could take advantage over. So a couple things. Number one, I got this tight end nub double wing, okay? Number two, I've got this two-man slot up top, and I want to see how Tampa Bay may potentially line up to it. Now, Tampa Bay is going to run man coverage underneath, and what they're going to do is take shot vertical Washington, shot vertical, and they're going to really place that safety in the half of the field.
And the big thing for this, too, if you're Jaden Daniels, you need to see that you can throw it to the open field, right? But what it's really about is, does Detroit have this in their game plan in order to attack Tampa Bay as well?
Exactly, because if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm saying I'm going to put Jameson Williams in the slot, and we're going to run something very similar to try to take advantage and put that safety in the bind of making a decision with two vertical players. Last year, against the Minnesota Vikings, the Lions present a relatively similar situation or formation. We have that tight end wing, we have that slot split, and then we're going to get that very similar play action pass from Jared Goff. Now, the great thing is the Lions can do a multitude of play action pass and run concepts or pass concepts out of that. But here we go. Imagine this is Jameson Williams sprinting that way, and then we have a Khalif Raymond or a Amon-Ra St. Brown going vertical, and Jared Goff then has that opportunity to two-on-one that safety down the field.
What's also beautiful about this, Dan, if you take it back to the beginning of the play, right, we're going to see this tight split between these two between these two receivers, it's going to make confusion between these two guys, right? And so Metellus is actually going to move to the outside, so they create space by the way that they align.
And I love the fact that the Lions have this in their playbook. They could run the vertical, they could run the in, they could run a stutter move. They're going to do everything they can to get Tampa Bay to present that same formation and then put that safety in that bind down the field.
Okay, listen, I want to go back to last week first, and we're going to talk a little bit about the way the Rams tried to attack the Detroit Lions. Here you're going to see them motion to trips. Now, in the motion to trips, what they're trying to do is flood a zone, flood a side, and find a way to get a one-on-one matchup down the field.
Okay.
Here's the guy they're going to be focused on right here. They're going to be focused on Terrion Arnold, right? And so to try to see how do they attack him and how do we get Cooper Kupp in some sort of one-on-one situation with Terrion Arnold. As they push up the field here, Dan, this is where they have to make a decision. You have a guy up the field right here, and then you're going to see you have Cooper Kupp that's a little bit slightly behind him, right? So because he's behind, now you can attack Terrion Arnold and go underneath.
And I love the fact that the Rams take that split, RC, and they got those receivers almost stacked on top of each other to mess with your communication defensively.
Now let's go back to last week. Liam Cohen, who Dan just told me was with the Rams, so he originates from sort of that McVay
and he's
tree.
now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator.
Now, watch this motion. Out of this motion, look at the confusion that it's going to cause with the Washington Redskins. You're going to have confusion here and here. They're going to make them make a decision between this switch route, which we're going to see right away as they switch at the line of scrimmage. And so now these guys have to communicate whether they're in combo or they're locked.
And there's that three-man side that we just saw from that Rams defense or offensive set.
Right here is where the play happens. You're going to see the eyes of both of these defenders are now on number 2 with their eyes there. If this safety does not get over and somehow show some help and get on top of Jalen McMillan, this is why you get the touchdown. For the Detroit Lions, they know that they'll be in man in most of these situations, and Liam Cohen is also looking at what the Rams were able to do to Detroit.
So I think the big takeaway is the Lions offensively are going to get into similar sets and try to take shots downfield in their play action game and put those safeties in a bind. And then and
I think defensively, if you're the Detroit Lions and you're Aaron Glenn, you understand they're going to put you in trips formations and try to make you communicate whether it's zone or man and disseminate who has the deep part of the field. Listen, that was just week 1. We got more for you each and every week. We're not necessarily competing with one another. We're just trying to win football games. Somebody give my man a job. Absolutely. Don't take him from us.
Yeah, please don't. Don't take any of you from any of us. Look at this, you guys. This is pretty interesting. Antoine Winfield Jr. listed as out on the Bucs injury report. That's huge for this game. Their safety that changes their defense and that any offense has to think about. So keep an eye on that.